You are not visible enough. These are the 5 words I heard from my very first boss when I started to work in a corporation on my yearly performance evaluation. I didn't know exactly what he meant, but later on I realized what he meant was that I don't talk in the meetings, I don't take part in the team discussions, which was true because I was an engineer. I was working, doing my job and just minded my own business and only talked when I needed to talk. Which was okay for me. He appreciated my work, but he said, Zan, if you want to climb this corporate ladder, you need to become more visible. I didn't agree with him, so I didn't do anything about it. I continued being a shy, working engineer who never talked that much, only when he needed to. And a couple of years more passed, and I got new managers. And yet, every year, every one of those managers would come and say, Sam, you are not visible enough. Finally, in my 4th year, I had a new boss, and I had enough. I told him straightforward. We told, what you want me to do? You want me to speak just for the sake of speaking? I prefer to listen if I don't know a topic about, to get enough information, and only share if there is a reason for sharing something. And he said, Zan, you're absolutely right. You know what? I had the same problem when I was in your position long time back. And there was one advice that I received from my manager, which I will give you today, which may help you with this. And the advice was, ask more questions. When you ask questions, not only you get to know more about the topic, but you also become visible. You are the guy who asks too many questions. I took his advice to heart, I tried it, and I can tell you, it's been 3 years, and in none of my performance evaluation, nobody said to me, Zan, you are not visible. Now it seems I am visible. This is a very condensed version of a storytelling speech I did in my club a few weeks back. And that was a humorously speaking project, so that should tell you how awesomely dry my sense of humor is, because not many people laughed. But after the speech, I got some comments about the message itself. A lot of people related to what I was saying. They had similar kind of problem in their jobs and really liked the advice. And they said that they would try it and let me know how it goes. And this is when I realized that I don't need to be only a good speaker. Actually, I need to be a good storyteller, because that is how people remember your message. But storytelling is a very, very powerful tool to convey your message. And it is the primary way we communicate in our daily life anyway. When we talk to our friends, what do? We tell our stories. How was my day? What did I do today in the morning? What did I do at my work? When we talk with our partners, we do the same. Most of our conversation, in fact, 65% of our conversation is actually our personal stories. And why is it that we do it this way? It's because our brains have evolved in that way. They're wired in that way. They think in that way. That is why if the next time you find yourself thinking about the topic or the thing that you need to do, just pay a bit of attention and you will realize that you are actually thinking in the form of a story. Every time, even if it is as mundane as going to do grocery shopping, you're still thinking, I will take this step, I will go there, I will do this, I will do this, in the form of a story. Because really, when you break down stories, they're as simple as a sequence of cause and effect events. Something causes an event, and then there is another event, and then there is another event, and that's how all stories are made. But why does it happen that we relate more to stories? Neuroscientists have said that actually when a person in the audience is hearing a story, the parts of his brain that are activated are the same as if he were actually part of that story. So if I would be telling you about my trip to some amazing country, you would probably feel the same emotions that I felt while I was there. And this is why you will remember much more what I told you about that country. Then look at public speaking. A lot of great public speakers, they used storytelling. Steve Jobs did it a lot during his speeches, even if they were keynote speeches or he was talking about a product, they were always in the form of a story, especially the introductions. if you look at the winning speeches of World Championships of Public Speaking, most of them include a bit of storytelling in one or two places during their whole 7-minute speech. I did a research in my club. We have few members who have been members of this club for a few years, so they must have heard about hundreds of speeches. And I asked them, guys, tell me 1 or 2 speeches that you still remember that was delivered a long time ago. And almost 99% of the cases, they told me about a speech that was a story. But not only a story, those were personal stories. That be things that happened to people and they were shared on stage. And why did those people remember only those speeches when we get a lot of nice speeches in our club? It's because the speaker felt more genuine on the stage. He felt more authentic. They could relate to him or her, and that's why they remembered those stories and the message that was included in them. So I started to wonder, if storytelling is so important, and it is all around us, we use it all day, every day, so why is it that we don't use it in our speeches? And I started to challenge myself to use more stories in all of my speeches. And when I ask others to do the same, I get the most common excuse. Then, I don't have any interesting stories to tell. Well, this is not true. If you have a story that you can tell to your friend or you can tell to your partner, then that is interesting enough to be shared with everyone else. So that is not a valid excuse. What is a valid excuse is that when you do storytelling, it needs to be effective storytelling. So it needs to have a message and it needs to be clear. Just like how a good storytelling can create the right image and the right message in the audience mind, a bad storytelling can actually do the opposite and make the audience feel bored, and you don't want that. And what is the best way to get better at storytelling? Well, just like everything else, you have to practice it and do it more. So that's what I have been doing. And my challenge to all of you is that regardless of what kind of project you're doing from these manuals, try to include a bit of your personal stories there. It does not need to be something with a profound experience and epiphany that you got for life. It could be as mundane as just the one that I told you from the beginning. And deliver it and practice. Don't just be a speaker, be a storyteller. Thank you.